we can actually work on we can work with the Interactivity API now. So just recently, we this package was this template was created, and we got it merged, and there is should be an update to the create block package about now that supports the view script option. So we should be able to run this and generate an interactive API. So an interactive block. So let's do that. Why not? CD plugins. We're gonna go npx at WordPress, create block, my first interactive block, and we're gonna pass template, and this template is this create block interactive block thing up here. So we're gonna run that. We're gonna let that run. Now, the thing to keep in mind is you absolutely 100% need to have the 16.2 installed for this. This is not going to be a deep dive into the Interactivity API because there's a lot to it. I'm probably going to have a bit of a guest streamer on sooner than later. And I'll talk about more. I'll talk about that more like later, but to kind of really take us through it. But we can play around with this plugin. Like I can kind of talk about what things are happening and how it kind of works a bit behind the scenes right now. This is just waiting for the scripts package. I absolutely hate this theme, friends. What is the name of my shades? There we go. Okay, so let's look at plugins. So in plugins, we've got this, my first interactive block. I'm gonna CD into that interactive block. Even start. Just gonna do that, and I'll hide this because we don't need to see it. So okay, so let me just zoom in a little bit. So the first thing that we can see here is it's just a standard block, right? We're just doing our regular dynamic block, right? So we've got our block JSON, our editor, edit, index. There's a README in here. The README sort of talks about how this sort of works. There's a render.php file, which is going to have a bunch of stuff in here. What is this? Oh, that's not right. We need to fix that. We needed to fix that. We also going to need to fix this. Okay, so a couple things that I will fix here. That is not a real function. I don't think is that a real function? That is a real function. But it needs to be escaped. It's not escaping. That's the problem. So we know. So anyway, there's a fix to this template that I will literally do after this stream, or we can do it together on this stream, whichever you want to do. Then we got our style, and then we got our Vue.js. So the Vue.js has got some stuff going on. So we're gonna look at this. Probably. Okay, I'm gonna rerun this. So there was an update to the create block package to make it to allow it to support the view script property in here, and I have a feeling that my version that's running, I need to run this, but I'm gonna make it run. I'm gonna force it to run the latest version just by putting at latest here. And that should download the latest version of this thing. That's what we want, yeah. It was using an old version. So that's one of the things about the create block package is you probably almost always run it with the at latest, just in case there's been an update and you're not getting the updates. Anyway, so I'll rerun that now, and you can all sit with me. There we go. That was quick. Let's look. So I'm looking here, block JSON. There we go. So now we got the view script. That's what we wanted. Okay, I'm just gonna go into start command here again. I will hide this, and you can go through it. Cool. So just to build this out, we can look at. I'm going to do a new post. I'm gonna call this one. You know what I have to fix here? I gotta fix that theme JSON because it's clearly doing some stuff here. Oh, was it spacing? I just need this to go away. I think that'll fix my. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be GB 16.2 Interactivity API. Yeah, cool. So we should have a nope. What's the name of the block? Oh, I probably need to enable it. That would be a thing that I should do. My first interactive block. I've enabled that now. So refresh this, update, refresh, close this. And now we should have what, interactive? My first interactive block. Great. So this doesn't do a lot, right? So we're gonna update this. I'm gonna just take a look at it on the front end, and we've got this toggle thing. So when you toggle this, that's what it does. It's completely interactive in that sense. So we can look at it behind the scenes, under the hood, around the corner. I don't know what analogy I should be using. I'm so confused right now. Okay, so the way that this whole thing works is the first thing that we have to do is we have to add support for interactivity. So in your supports of your block.json, you add interactivity true. And that, I think, is really all we have to do here. In the package.json, we're adding this. I don't believe we actually have to add that because we're in here. Is it actually bundling it? Interesting. My guess, I think that the Interactivity API, that's weird. So index.assets blockender. So it's not actually including it in there. Oh, maybe it needs to be, maybe it's in here. There it is. Okay. So the Interactivity API is really only used on the front end. So that's where that is being, okay. So this has been added to block.json, but this is not strictly needed to be added to block.json. Just like you don't necessarily need to add all the other add WordPress packages. It helps for like code completion and stuff like that. So that's there. And basically everything else works as it would normally work when you're building a block. So we can look at, so the edit is, again, really straightforward. Clearly something is wrong. Something is wrong with, sorry, this is me. This ESLint, I went like this. I think that was what was, okay, I need an ESLint in there. Oh my God, man. For your issues, I gotta just copy this. Oh, you know what it needs? I'll show you what it needs. I'll tell you what it needs. It needs this. That's what I want, because this is just because I am super anal about my stuff. So that should, there we go. So that's fixing that. Okay, cool. Anyways, so this is just a regular edit. So there's nothing fancy going on in here. The index is just basically, we have an attribute here displaying my first interactive. Oh, that's the example. Okay, which pretty sure can be done in block.json, can it not? Sure can. Okay. I need to fix some of the stuff on this. I didn't write it all. I wrote some of it, and so there's clearly some things now that I'm looking at it. Oh yeah, also there's an API version 3 now for block.json, which is cool, right? Cool. So that's how you set up the stuff. It's all basically the same. The important part now is is these things. So these are the directives that are being created by, that's a really good question. I don't think so. I think the way it works is it supports things that 2 does not. That's a really good question that I don't have a definitive answer to, Kev. Kev's question was, does v3 imply breaking changes? So no. This WordPress has a commitment to backwards compatibility, and it probably always will. But the thing is, I believe it's how it's parsed. Same with theme.json. Like, so if you target, like, it can just do different things. I need to get a better answer to that. So I apologize for not having a really good one there, but this will not break all your stuff. It just does different things, basically, right? Cool. So these are Kev. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin! It's for you. Obviously. So okay, so these are the what are referred to as directives. So if you've used like Svelte or like Vue, you're probably familiar with the concept of directives. It's just HTML sort of attributes here. So what the interactivity is doing behind the scenes is it's server-side rendering a bunch of things. So, but it's a PHP backend. So there's, you know, if you think of like React server-side rendering, there's no JavaScript running on the server to render the stuff and then pass it to the server, or pass it back to the browser. So what's actually happening is these things are being converted. It gets turned into a Preact app that gets injected on the page. But so as it stands right now, you have to tell you tell the Interactivity API that this render, this block, will have interactivity, and that's what this one does. And so now this context is basically like state. Well, it is state. It's done using context. So you would have a provider that wraps all the child components and stuff, and basically anything, any child elements. Well, MGC Michael, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. They will have access to the context or the state. You can think it that way. So in this case, we've got a wrapper div that has this context of is open being false, and then anything inside of it, so this button, this paragraph, any of their children, so on and so forth, will all have access to that is open state. So this WP effect is basically a use effect, and it will this will fire when the state changes, right? Now, the question that I had when I went through, I just had a sort of an internal demo with one of the authors of the Interactivity API, and I believe, and I have to get a better definitive answer, that this is smart. So if you're familiar with use effect, and I'm not talking to Kevin because Kevin doesn't know anything about use effect. You usually you define, if you don't define like dependencies in your use effect definition, it'll change every time something changes. I believe there is some magic going on behind the scenes to know what it should be looking at. So there's that. So there are some other ones as well. So there's WP effect. I think there's a WP like load, which is essentially the use effect with, so when it first loads and things like that. Right, and so now and I'll explain how this gets connected in a second, but we'll get there. So we have an effects, create login, or sorry, that's the namespace, and then this is the actual name of the effect that's going to be run when basically is open changes. We have this data WP on and then a click. So this turns into an on click basically, and it will run this toggle function, which is stored in actions under a namespace and toggle. This will make more sense in a second. This WP bind basically binds this attribute to whatever this sort of resolves to, basically, right? So aria expanded will basically look like this. Like when it's rendered, it'll say aria expanded equals, and then if is open is true, it'll be true. If it's false, it'll be false, and it'll change when is open changes. That's just all pretty straightforward. This needs to be different. This needs to be a escape attribute attr. That's what that needs to be. And then that won't yell at me anymore. This needs to be not that. It'll be escape HTML e. And then that won't yell at me anymore. And then we need the same thing here. I'm going to make these changes to the package directly as well, so we don't have to fight with this stuff anymore. Now I personally think you should escape everything that's marked for translation, because your translation file can absolutely be a vector for attack by hackers. What's this? What was this? WPK, I think it's KSES data. I think that's the one that we've been sort of using. Yeah, so we'll add that. So this is just getting rid of all my squiggles. So yeah, again, we've got a data WP bind, and this is going to bind the hidden attribute to whatever this resolves to. So this is the opposite of whatever is open is. So on and so forth. Okay, cool. So this is the render. So this gets built out in PHP, right? Corey is wondering, I wonder sometimes how a person knows what to do in a declarative abstraction without knowing the underlying framework. That's a great question. Documentation. And there's a real effort. My team specifically is putting a real effort in making sure we have really good, proper documentation. Yeah. Well, Corey, how else are you going to know the underlining stuff? Maybe I'm misunderstanding your statement. I know you appreciate me. Yeah, Twitch streams, YouTube videos, TikToks. I wasn't taking it in any way, Corey. Stop being sensitive. It's good. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot going on, right? And that's one of the things that I'm really trying to I really want to understand the nuts and bolts, the plumbing of this, how it all works behind the scenes. Because if I don't get it and I have like direct access to the authors, it's going to be very hard for folks that don't have direct access to the authors to figure it out. So that's my job. I'm going to do it. But to use this abstraction, it feels like you kind of have to explain those systems. Yeah, and you're right. I agree with you. I think you do have to explain some of these systems. Now, I will also say you do need to know a little bit of React to build blocks anyways. You don't need to be a React expert, but you need to have an understanding of hooks, of use effect, which is used a lot, things like that. So I believe an abstraction should hide a lot of that stuff. And I think that this does. And some of my initial feedback, and I believe Alpine, Svelte, and all those things, they've really influenced how this is working. What I really love about this, you wonder if this will feel more limiting to block devs. Well, you don't have to use it. As it stands now, there's more than just these directives. There are some more. They're not all fully fleshed out yet. This is it's still experimental, so we're still working through it. And there is on the roadmap at some point the ability to create your own, what we're calling behaviors, right? So and defining your own directives is what I'm saying. No. My first thought was very similar. So I got a preview of this way back last year. Sort of an internal thing where they were kind of just showing us to kind of so we knew what was happening. And my first thought was, don't call it a WP effect because people don't know what effects are. Call it something that is makes more sense to someone that doesn't have a JavaScript background, because not everyone from PHP's got a JavaScript background. In WordPress has a JavaScript background. So they're very much working with this, right? Yeah, so the front end, and let's maybe get into that. So in our view.js file, what we're doing is we're defining all of our behaviors and our actions and our things, right? So right now, if you remember, so the first thing we do is we have to import the store, and then we call store, and then we have an actions object, an effects object, and I think there's another one too. That there's more than this than just this, but again, I'm not sort of doing a comprehensive thing here, right? So what this is doing, so this is an action. So for example, when this is clicked, this is going to map to actions, create block, and then toggle. So this is actions, create block, which is the namespace of this particular store. So when you create your actions, your effects, your context, things like that, you want to you have to namespace it. Okay. So you're defining everything, literally everything, and I'm pretty sure that you can have context in here as well. This is passing context here, but you can also have other context in here that relies on other things. So you can have, so this is basically just, so it gets past the context. The context basically comes from up here. So this is our context. This is one thing I'm not super happy about, and I think they're working on ways of making this a little less gross because you're mixing
your single quotes and your double quotes and stuff. I would love to see, and I believe there is some work being done sort of like on a helper function, right? To do this, but basically we're creating our namespace, and then this is the object that represents our state or our context, right? So in here we're accessing that, and then we're just basically setting the context to whatever the opposite of is open is. So that's our toggling, open, close. And then there's this effect that is run whenever is open changes. Again, I have to understand the internals a bit better to see how this is running. And then, so this runs in the console. So if we look in here, we can see we have, so we toggle this, we have open is true. No, I can read that. Oh, not that, sorry. Let me just zoom this back out a little bit. So it's just basically, so this is like the most simple example ever. But there's some really cool stuff that you can do with this. There's that, there's a movie, I can't remember what it was now. There's a, I have it in here. So yeah. So this thing. So this was built entirely with the Interactivity API, and it was part of the demo that was shared at WordCamp Europe this year. And like pretty cool stuff, right? I'm pretty sure these animations are done using a Chrome API, or at least it used to be. So, and the code for this is all on here, so you can have a look at that, right? Oh, who's that? Who's following me? What's going on? Cheryl Klein, you didn't get your awesome didn't appear, so I appreciate you. Yeah, web transitions API. So that's what that's using. So it's some really cool stuff that can be done. Like you can, and it's all, so this is like sort of a single page application where everything is reloading. Like you can heart all of the movies here. These are actually fairly good movies. You got all your hearts. You can go in here, and then I think you can play. There's a trailer. It doesn't seem to be working. Okay. No, play trailer. Maybe something's changed. But yeah, let's see. Does this trailer work? There we go. So maybe just that works. I think if you even like navigate through different things, like it. Anyways, it's a really cool demo. Super cool demo. Morgan Freeman is the best. Yeah. So that's kind of it. But I would go and definitely check this out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content on WordPress development. You can also join me live every Thursday at 10:30 Eastern on Twitch. Check the description for the link.